tell you, if I was a director, the composer I would hire would be John Williams.
Really?
Yeah.
John Williams, tell us about him.
Well, John Williams, I think, has more Academy Awards than anybody except for Walt Disney.
Has he done anything I might be familiar with?
Did you ever see Home? I'm trying to think of something unfamous he's
One
done.
Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
No. Home Alone?
The Shining.
Did John Williams do the soundtrack for Home Alone?
He did. He did.
Oh my god!
What 80s and 90s film did he not do the soundtrack for?
I'm pulling up IMDb to find a not famous movie he's done right now.
Back to the Future. That was actually
really
that
Alan
doesn't
Silvestri.
count as not famous.
Okay. I don't even think I've heard of Alan Silvestri.
I'm saying he did not do Back to the Future.
Oh, okay.
Which probably is my favorite theme song.
Good theme
It
song.
is. It is a good theme song.
Because it's got everything you need in it. It's got fun. It's got drama.
It's got romance.
It's got romance. It's a great theme song, and they use it very effectively. Like probably one of my favorite moments is when Marty jumps off the roof of Biff's tower in Back to the Future 2, and Biff kind of looks over the edge and gets knocked back by the DeLorean, and then it's got that dun 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 dun.
Gets your heart racing, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's the power of love. That's what that does to you.
Also, the guy that sang that song, whose name is escaping me, Huey Lewis, he was the teacher in Back to the Future who told Marty to turn that down.
Little ironic
Really?
cameo.
Yes.
Too much. Too much.
Too much, Huey.
Too much, Huey. Back off. I got to see Huey Lewis in the news one time.
Do you remember, though? Do you remember seeing Huey Lewis in the news?
Do you remember?
I remember seeing Huey Lewis in the news.
When I was young.
Okay, wait, he did do a bad movie.
How much of that concert did we get to actually see, Neil? Or listen to?
Not much. Someone calls us scene and we had to leave.
Okay.
I do kind of want to know what John Williams' bad movie was.
What was his
The
bad movie?
Patriot with Mel Gibson.
I like The Patriot.
Patriot was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually watched Fat Man the other day, where you guys heard about that one?
Where he's Santa Claus?
Yeah, he plays Santa. And
looked pretty good.
Some kid hires an assassin to kill him. I missed the first 10 minutes of it. I was cooking dinner. But he's basically. All right, I guess it just came out recently, so I won't give spoilers away this early. But it was funny for for a holiday dark comedy action film. So
that means that Mel Gibson has done 2 Christmas movies now.
Was the first
Fat Man and of course Lethal Weapon, as Neil informed us.
Lethal Weapon.
Damn
We're
right.
not going into this. Christmas is over. We're not doing any. All the Die Hard and Lethal Weapon arguments will
Die
be
Hard
saved
is
until
also a Christmas
it's not
movie.
a Christmas movie. But I digress. We will hold out until later.
Should
That we-
old acquaintance be forgot?
They can be forgot,
Oh.
just like we'll forget the song you started to sing.
That's
Forgotten.
like one.
I'm gonna
Okay.
forget. I just forgot it.
The Forgotten.
How does it go again?
Now that's a terrible movie.
The Forgotten is also a terrible film.
Oh man,
Yeah.
remember when you had to see that?
I do. I do
Yeah.
remember when I had to see that. That was
Neil, do you
horrible.
remember that day?
Which day?
The day that some of our friends, including Jonny, had to go see The Forgotten, and we saw.
I do remember that day.
Yes, we saw a different movie.
What was that movie?
I think it was better. I'm trying to remember the name. of it.
That was the second time that Nick Frost and Simon Pegg foiled my plans twice.
Twice.
They were foiled. Do you recall the second time? Did
I
anybody
do.
recall the second time in this
I
group?
do.
Let's
that
see.
that happened?
I believe it might have happened in Waco.
Yes, the Branch Davidians had something
Instead of
to
coming
do
to
with it.
see my grand debut on the McLennan Community College stage.
You'd already been in like 8 different shows.
You guys had only that you and Neil did come to see one of them.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, remember that guy sitting behind us?
Oh my god.
Oh, goodness. All right, let's get rolling on this. We got a lot of guests to cover tonight. Hey, everybody, welcome to the final episode of Season 1 for I Don't Give a Flick. I'm your host, Jonny Blackburn, and alongside me this week, as they are every week, I've got my co-hosts.
Gary Elmore.
And Neil Riley.
And this week, we are very happy to welcome back to the show for one final hurrah for, technically 20 2020/2021, as we're at the very beginning of the year at this point. We welcome back Texas-based cinematographer BJ Lewallen and New York-based actor Keith Mackler. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Hey,
Howdy.
And for everybody, to let you guys know, this is for our final episode of the year. We've gone ahead and asked back our favorite guests, along with some of our guests that have been
Our
on.
least favorite guest too.
Least favorite guests too. Interesting.
yeah.
All right. When are those guys coming up to the
That's
show?
why Johnny's here.
Yeah, it's like the final episode of Seinfeld, really. When you
Okay.
get down to it.
Oh, I see.
No soap for you.
I guess we do have Jacob Johnson coming up later in the
Yeah, I figured
episode.
you pounce on that.
I was pretty pissed that you invited him back.
Yeah. Me and
Yeah.
Jacob, we go back a long time. We're good friends.
I just hope I fit into the good category of that.
You absolutely do. So I want to talk as BJ and Keith. We haven't had either of you guys back since Keith. We had you on our part 2 edition of COVID in Hollywood. What have you been up since then, man? What's been going on for the last couple months for you? You got any sweet projects coming up here in the next 2021 year?
Yeah, brother. Well, hey, thanks for having me back. First of all, it's great to be here. I love what you've done with the place. And when we last spoke, I was actually in New York City. I was there kind of at the height of the COVID thing. Oh, wait, we're still there. And I was switching apartments. Now I'm back in Vermont. I'm sequestered in a remote log cabin in an undisclosed location deep in the underbelly of the Green Mountain State, where I'm kind of doing my thing, So a lot of my interactions, a lot of my work have been through various computers, phones, devices, teletypes, Teletubbies, telegrams. And, I'm kind of doing some remote work. So I really miss it. I really miss being in the city. I was definitely a workaholic, every day hopping from set to set, and studio to studio and gig to gig. It was quite a lifestyle, but like Dave Grohl recently said, you got to keep it exciting, and I take a lot of my life advice from Dave Grohl.
Do you?
First of all, his hair is fantastic. So
Of course.
he obviously shampoos and conditions, rinses and repeats, but working on some kind of independent stuff that's more about art than commerce per se. I'm working on a new rap record. I was a hip hop artist for about a decade, and that's what I thought I was going to do with the rest of my life. Then the acting bug started bugging me, and I've been doing that for the last decade. I decided now I have a little time on my hands. So I'm resurrecting, by popular demand of no one, my rap alter ego, Doc C. And I would encourage everyone to check out the new Doc C single, Doc C Made Me Do It, which is right on Bandcamp. Just look up Doc C. I had to get it off my chest, just everything that we're dealing with, we've dealt with in 2020 and continue to, and, put it in rhyme form with some rhyme schemes over a quote unquote beat. And I'm working on my other solo project too, Judas Booth, which is kind of a synth pop deathcore project. And that's a whole other side of me. So it was an unexpected turn. I said, I'm going to take advantage of this time and really work on some projects that are personal and important to me. And I'm not really on anybody's schedule, so I will be a night owl. I don't mind doing this interview a little late because I'll be up for the next 5-6 hours just working on tunes,
Wait, boy, are you gonna go deathcore synth pop, or are you gonna go
It's
hip hop? Because
Yeah,
either way,
all of it. It's
yeah,
kind of synth hop core,
Is this
Yeah.
kind of like
death hop.
Is this kind of like what Joaquin Phoenix did when he started his little rap career thing?
Back in like
Yeah.
08, 09, where
love
he
that.
went dark for like 2 years and then did that faux doc.
my beard is slightly less unkempt than Joaquin. But no, I mean, it's not, and it's different than Keith Mackler, who's really a comedic actor. You wouldn't really know that guy is Doc C. It's kind of an alter ego. It's kind of another way to experience life, since I'm not in front of the camera as much as I like. That was the greatest thing, to escape the mundanity of, this planet, to inhabit all these different characters. And to have the wonderful gift of doing that as a job and actually getting to go to work every day and play and have all this fun and inhabit these other lives and these other minds. And so that's kind of what I'm doing now with these different characters on records, And my whole life I've either been in front of a microphone, a crowd of people, or a camera. Right. So I figured this is just as good, just in a different mode, another mode of expression. So I'm enjoying it. And I'm polishing off a bottle of Jim Beam, but I'm also polishing off my YouTube channel. And I'm realizing, damn, I've done so much. When guys like us, when we're busy, we're hustling, and we're working every day, crazy schedules, getting up God knows when, and you rarely get a chance to just take a deep breath and go, yeah, what did I do for the last 10 years? And that's what I'm building on my YouTube. And you can just go on keithmackler.com and it'll go right, have an option to go to that. And I just uploaded like 40 or 50 new clips in the last day of all kinds of great stuff, man. Web videos, commercials, clips from movies and music videos and just, sketches and skits and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, I'm taking some time to take stock and to just remember the past and look forward, cautiously optimistic to the future.
That's great, man. Especially with such a shitty year like we had over the last 12 months, it's nice to be able to just get back to yourself from ground zero and start over and stuff. So forgive me for being ignorant. The 40, 50 stuff you downloaded on your website, is this all stuff you've done or just stuff that spoke to you personally and you're like, this really gave me the motivation to go and do all of this extra work that you're doing?
No, well, I am a YouTube junkie, and I go down the rabbit hole all day watching stuff. But everything that I've been putting up are clips that I'm in, that I have.
Gotcha. I figured
usually a principal role in. Yeah, it's basically, and I'm also kind of thinking I want to put a new reel together for when things get back to normal and everything, and a reel that's at my present weight.
Sure.
Because you go too far back, and they go, Keith, I didn't know you had a little brother that acted. I said, son of a. Yes, put on the quarantine.
Kevin's a great guy. Yeah,
he was great, but I think I'm fatter and funnier, so I should have the job.
Yeah. You don't want the producers to say, "Are you catfishing me?" or something.
Right, I might be catfishing myself. I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, whatever works. I gotta say, you gotta put some of those edits together that are like quick zooms with a little circle around, like, you look, there's me in the background, boom, and then boom, here I am in the main one. Yeah,
here I am.
Yeah, it hasn't
extra on
gotten to that
Titanic.
level.
Yeah. I
played one of the
like
life rafts in Titanic.
Right. I do like that you. It seems like I don't know if it's just multiple personality disorder or what, but you're referring to Keith in the third term or the third person, either because you got like split personality or you've decided to start doing this. I'm going to talk about myself in the third person, so I do like that. That's very eccentric.
Well, people always say you have the persona and everything, and when you do like a lot of improv and comedy work and sketch work, you kind of always have to have the persona. And my boyfriend would go, everything you do is a bit. I say, yeah, kind of, but that's just also the way I am. It would be the way I am anyway, with gallows humor. If I was a guy unloading orange juice at the docks, I would still be doing bits. You know what I mean? I just lucked into being able to do bits and not get reprimanded, actually be rewarded.
Yeah, you get paid for the bits.
Yeah, for being silly.
Is that a real job, unloading orange juice at a dock? I've never heard of that.
I'm sure it's a job.
How do you think it gets here?
It's a job. It's got to be offloaded, Neil.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
This
In
juice
your
ain't gonna
ivory
unload
tower,
itself.
Neil, you wouldn't think of it, but common people.
I'm glad to hear that you're keeping busy, man. I
Yes,
can't
sir.
wait to check it out and plug it at the end. BJ, what about you, man? What have you been doing the last couple months? You were talking about a crazy ass shoot that you had the other week after you and I had finished the project, and what do you got going on?
It's just been crazy. I mean, Keith, I think, summed it up in a great way. It just started, and it was just go mode. It was like you gotta get through it. You gotta work. You gotta get on the next thing, and you gotta figure out what's going on. And I know I wasn't quite lucky enough to be able to get off to go not be on the crazy sets of it. So I've been in the thick of it and jumping around, and I've done a bunch of different projects. For me, 2020 has been the year of BJ works on way too many things that are on NDAs. So everything I have to talk about is kind of generally, which blows, but I think I can at least get by with, I've been fortunate enough to shoot a bunch of the more recent projects with Jake from State Farm.
Yes, I
so
remember you
that's
telling me
been
about that. Yeah.
That's been my fun, cool one that I definitely have only shot whatever has been released and nothing else. So don't worry, I didn't do anything beyond that.
Is he nicer than the original Jake from State Farm? Because I've never met either of them.
I have never met the other one, but I will say that this Jake is the shit. He's awesome. He's a good dude, and he makes it like absolutely hilarious to be around. Like when they take the funny clips from there, like that's my day. My entire day is laughing like that as we're coming up with these ridiculous things, these skits, and it's just fun like the entire time.
How much of that is improvisation from him? Like, is it all scripted, or is it a lot of it they kind of like on the fly? Is he just kind of
a little bit of both? So like one example would be like one of the more recent one was like a Thanksgiving one he did about like thanking people, and they basically let him just react to them as he wanted. Like they had the questions already picked out, but they were like, you do you. Like, or just get some, and then if whatever they don't like one, they can feed him some lines. But like they pretty much don't really do it. Like he's really good about like he's a really good actor, and he just sits there and he gives different options, different takes, different vibes, different feelings, and by the end of it, you're like, all of that was good. Like it's all sharp, it's all solid, it's everything about it is right, and we shoot to kind of have a wider area that he can be himself in and not be like,
Nice.
not razor thin focused, so that if he moves like slightly forward or back, we gotta like, we gotta follow him and be crazy. We go a little deeper, so we have movement and all that.
He's
kind
just
of
as
stuff.
natural as they come. I wonder if they have like with those insurance conventions, if he and Flo show up and there's a lot of animosity between them and stuff.
That would be neat to have like kind of a Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of thing where like
with
all
the
these
insurance cinematic
spokespeople.
universe.
Yeah. Well, like you can have all the commercial people get together, like Colonel Sanders and Flo.
Oh, The Art of Seduction, starring Mario Lopez, Colonel Sanders.
But like all of the actors that play in commercials, I think that would be an interesting one to kind of have.
I would totally go to that.
Yeah,
I
seems
don't
like
think
a
it
Super
could be
Bowl kind of commercial.
I don't think it could, because what a normal like Comic-Con style thing is usually 4 days, 5 days.
Yeah,
give or
usually,
take.
yeah.
So I wonder like what could it for the commercials like
Insurance
a
con.
day? Assurance Con, like 1 day, 2 days? Like, could you really do more than 48 hours of Insurance Con?
It's called South by, Johnny, and it happens every year except for this year.
Okay,
and
so
all
they're
you
already
have to
doing
do
it.
is
My bad.
walk outside, and you text Samsung, and a Saint Bernard comes up to you with an iPhone charger attached to it. I'm not lying. That is a real thing.
I believe you. I've been living under a fucking rock, so my apologies for my ignorance.
They put Wi-Fi hotspots on homeless people. Like they've done everything you can imagine to get absolutely insane. And pretty much the only thing they figured out is like when people started dying, they started making the alcohol slightly harder to get to. That's about it.
I can just imagine, especially with the year that we've had going up.
What are we talking about?
Talking about
I don't
putting Wi-Fi
Dark.
hotspots on homeless
They're
people.
very dark.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that I wasn't falling behind the class. Thank you.
Oh no,
Thank you for having your hand up, though.
The class has moved so far.
Class
Don't
is
worry,
in
man.
session, Gary. Class is
okay.
in session.
I just got schooled. Oh,
Glad to hear that you're still keeping up with work, Beach. That's awesome, man. So segueing into our next topic here. So Keith, I did want to point this first one to you because I am curious about it. I know that you said you've been working on a lot of personal passion projects recently, but with the voice acting portion, with the commercials and the shorts and TV and stuff that you were doing for a while, where do you think we're headed to with that? I mean, are the majority of the jobs that you had been getting still remote? Do you think we're going to be seeing more? Are we going to be seeing more online content and more animated series coming out over the next year, just due to the fact that social distancing is so prevalent right now? What do you think?
It's a great question, and I have been doing some remote work, some commercials, and some voiceovers for some cartoons and things like that. And I think that that's something you can always do. I would prefer to do it in a studio environment, in an environment with other people there, with a director, etc. But it's something that can be achieved from home, and there's so much post-production work as well that can be done from home. I just watched one of the new Pixar movies, Soul, and there were so many.
I need to see that.
The credit breakdown is insane. I mean, it's like 5 million names, and it's all a lot of it was done remotely and collaboratively. We have the tools now. It's quite incredible, actually. I've seen some shows on the air that have actually done things over Zoom with the cast interacting, of course, different reunion shows and sketches and late night things. I'm doing a show called PN and Friends, where most of them are in New York City. I'm one of the holdouts, and my stuff is via Zoom, but they've worked that into the storyline. And then there are shows that have really worked COVID into the storyline, live action shows, so they actually have the people on screen all wearing masks and it's safer. But yeah, for where we're at, I think the future is definitely headed toward that kind of content that can really be produced at will, isolated. I mean, we're lucky that we're at that point, that we have the technology meeting the demand and, meeting that energy that people have to do this stuff, because we all want to do it. We want to write, we want to perform, we want to produce things. And like BJ was saying, we're going to do it hell or high water, as my old man would say. You got to beat him or burn him, he would say. And so we're going to do it. And
we're going to burn him.
We're going to burn him.
Oh my God. We get real dark here on I Don't Give a Fuck.
No, man. It's
real dark.
It really is wild.
Every now and then,
Yeah, it really is wild right now. I mean, like, there's just so many, like, COVID things where people are having to deal with and work around. And on
are
one
you worried
hand,
about that, BJ?
I mean,
being a DP
for real reasoning, yes, and it should be, because regardless of what all goes down, you can wear a certain number of things, but most of the stuff that you still see on TV, when the roll button is on, the people in front of you that are not very far from you have no COVID on, or no protection between you and them, and probably they're good. But you gotta be real, when you're talking about commercials, you're talking about money, you're talking about craziness. Yeah, there's insurance involved, and there's things, and people test and yada. But how do you not know that the person you're filming didn't go out and after they did their test last night, go party and drink out and come back, and all of a sudden, boom, now you've got a wave of infections that go on, and it's just, then that has happened. What that exact scenario has happened in some situations that I've heard of and have been around in the industry here in Austin.
It's so crazy because it's such a double-edged sword, where it's like, to point to what Keith was saying, it's great that we have the tools and we're able to do that now. Like, we're able to continue streaming content even if we can't all be in the same place to film it. We can still do it over Zoom. We can do our remote work individually and still bring a final product together. But at the same time, for people like yourself, where it's a lot of crew work and stuff, just due to the fact that, I mean, the one of the reality shows that I'm working on right now, I mean, I think for our just for COVID itself is going to be close to $500,000 by when it's all said and done, and that's just for a standard 2 to 3 months of shooting.
Absolutely,
and it's a small crew. Yeah, exactly. It's a small crew, not a big cast.
I mean, you talk scary, about even just from a cost perspective of something really simple. I was talking with some people on a commercial that I just finished on, and one of the guys has started a company that he already did location work and dealt with a lot of people. So when this arose, he was one of the first guys in town to start a specific film-related testing facility. And to test at their facility that has a 15-minute turnaround on these tests, does all the stuff, does everything properly, it's $400 a person. And when you start talking about that, I did a TV show with 300 extras inside in a small stage, and they tested everybody along with multiple actors. As soon as they say roll, everybody takes their mask off, and you're now in a small club with like 350 people that are running, sweating, screaming, breathing, yelling, and it's just chaos.
Who knows? Yeah, and who knows how many of those tests were false negatives?
I mean, there's
false positives. Way before they even got to set. So it's hard. So I actually kind of want to skip over the original question. We'll get back to it that I had in the itinerary, but since we're already talking about this,
it's all good.
Since you've been on set so often over the last couple of months, have the protocols advanced or changed at all since the middle of summer, or since like the end of July, August, over the last 4 or 5 months? Are you guys seeing? Are they tightening the reins on the COVID restrictions, or are we where we need to be, or is there still ways to go?
I would say we're in a weird way both. What's happened for the most part is that the people that truly depend on this as their livelihood, and mainly I would say would be like episodic and movies, right? These are the people that the Tom Cruise yelling, "We're making fucking jobs here" type. These are people that work, that breathe it. They need to happen. And if something goes down, the whole production shuts down, and you've just cut off 500 or more jobs, not to mention if the whole thing shuts down. Those guys are doing it awesome. They're having excellent protections. They're adhering to all of the rules that need to happen. Like SAG has taken some awesome reins in making sure that acting wise, all those guys are covered really well. And in the commercial world, we've have a kind of a split where some people do take the care to do that, and those are the people that I try to stay with. But
Sure.
there are people that, let's be real, when your next 3 months of pay depend on that one day of work, they're going to kind of look the other way when tasks start to go down. And so protocols get bypassed, things start to get looked beyond, and people just don't care. So, you
have you
to
experienced that directly yourself so far?
Oh
Has
yeah,
that
no,
something you've come
I've definitely
across
been
recently?
around it before. I've been around, and I mean, I've got a friend that their crew walked on a set because they were like, this isn't safe, and we're not down. And a middle tier production commercial shoot said, we're out, peace. And it happens. People just some of them don't care enough and would rather get the job done for what the dollar comes down to. And unfortunately, what's happened is that you have to be your own COVID cop on a set.
Right.
You've got to say, this is cool. Yeah, no, man, it's a small group. We're all keeping enough distance. It's fine. Everyone's wearing a mask. We're all tested. We're cool. And then all of a sudden you're on a job where there's like 40 people in a room, and you're like, we don't all need to be here. Like, I get if there need to be 20 of them, and that's part of it. But when you've got the assistant editor in hanging out because he wanted to get away from the chair and be in the room with everybody, and all of a sudden really quickly it's like, oh shit, you guys don't need to be here, man. It's getting crazy.
Have you considered just rolling around in a plastic bubble like the guy from the Flaming Lips? Because that's what I'm looking into.
I put
soccer,
spikes on
everybody.
it. I want to like push people out of the way. I want them to remember the bubble.
No, you have any idea how the insurance is already high enough? We don't need to add that on top of it. Or you can impaling people on set. You're fine. Take a salt tablet, run it, walk it off.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
You're fine. You're fine. So I mean, due to the fact that COVID limitations have severely crippled the film industry right now, and I know we're certainly getting back on track, and they're finding ways every single month to come out with new types to figure out the content.
I would say for the most part, they are one of the, if not the safest industries to be in right now. Like, they are doing more than most other businesses that I have seen or been in the vicinity of, like their actual like inner workings. They are taking some of the absolute best precautions of any industry right now.
Yeah. And I think that's good for someone, for someone like yourself that's still getting that consistent work. But like, I know for Gary, Neal, and myself, it's been harder getting clients in particular, especially for commercial work. It's there,
Absolutely.
but it's almost non-existent, especially we're in a smaller market, just being in Texas.
Oh, definitely.
So it's harder for sure. But it is obviously, if you're in the industry and you're certainly set in it like you have been for such a long time, over a decade, it's great that you're still getting those calls.
I'm lucky.
You are, you're fortunate, man, for sure. And that just comes with the territory, just, working your ass off and kicking ass and taking names for so long. But since a lot of that content is not coming out as much, and we see that with the theaters, and we see with cinema and whatnot, we see, Regal closed its doors, second largest theater chain in America, in the world actually, closed their doors recently, at least for the next couple months, because all these blockbusters are getting pushed back. We're seeing a lot of theaters start to recycle content. We're going to the theater and you're seeing, especially during Christmas, you saw Die Hard playing a bunch, and National Lampoon and It's a Wonderful Life. Standard stuff for around Christmas. You see those movies done a fair amount. But, the other day I saw a showtime for Leprechaun. I saw a showtime for Con Air. I saw just a bunch of random films, which are all, fun to go watch, but nothing new coming out. So where do we think this is going? Like, is this going to be something that we're going to see over the next year? Do you guys think? Keith, I know you had mentioned something about Hallmark and all the crap that they've been coming out with. They have to have like 50 to 150 movies that haven't been released yet, but were made 3 years ago, that they're just ready to start throwing out there, and then they're going to recycle all the same crap they've played over the last 24 months in the next 6 months. It feels like. I
think they can just release them under different titles, just switch them around.
They do only have one story that they just keep repeating.
That's true. Just change the setting and the character names.
That face tracking stuff is pretty good. You just put a couple of new actors on it, and all of a sudden now you've got what's the KFC love story? You can recycle that over like 15 different movies now, man.
with fucking Mario Lopez, man. We were talking about that a couple weeks ago when I didn't actually watch it. I told everybody I was going to watch it. It aired at like 11 a.m. that following Sunday after a Saturday night episode we recorded, and I totally forgot to watch it. I'm sure it's online somewhere, and I'll see it later. But it was only like it was a 15-minute short story about how Colonel Sanders like seduced some rich woman that he cooked for their family, and then
I believe it was fictitious, was it not?
I'm sure it was because I thought
no.
You don't think it's based on a story?
I thought
Don't
they were supposed
shatter
to.
my world.
I thought they were supposed to. Yeah, I thought they were supposed to torture him at some point. Like that's the way
Dip
that
him in grease or something.
I just hope that it's finger licking good. That's really all that matters.
I think that's the tagline.
Probably.
Romance that's finger licking good.
I think it's the 11 Herbs and Spices of Love. So
It might be. It might be. I don't know. This might just be the ticket that the majority of us need. You know, maybe Keith, maybe one of your alter egos there is going to become the next Kanye or Nicolas Cage for all we fucking know, and you might make it big because they're not coming out with content. You might have your opening to get out there. We might have our opening to get out there.
This could be my moment.
It could. Grab that horse and hold on.
I know that there's so many of these Hallmark movies coming out, and they're all the same. And I think it's, they're also coming out with a lot of gay ones now, and they actually have gay love stories and LGBT love stories in the Hallmark movies. And I gotta say, as an openly gay man, cut that shit out, because these are not realistic stories.
What's
There is
happening in
not
these stories?
the apprentice at the antique shop that meets the stressed out businessman from New York. They share a moonlit night on the town, make love in a gazebo. That is not a gay love story. Okay, you text me a picture of your bare ass, I text you my home address. Okay, that is a gay love story. We will never see on camera.
Maybe you should be the first to make a movie that actually tells a true love story.
This is a pitch meeting, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to catch me.
I'm
Gentlemen,
sold.
you have your pitch.
We have our pitch. All right, who's gonna catch
Somebody
it?
get
Who's
Netflix
catching
on
it?
the line
I
right
feel
now.
like I
Prepared for
Beholder
the show.
basically
Prepared for
fell
the
into this category.
You what, Neil?
I think Eye of the Beholder basically just fell into this category.
Probably. Yeah, we should make
And
that into a
our
feature.
award-winning short film, Eye of the Beholder. You can look it up at www.youtube.com/Leadfeather Productions.
I feel like you're
Eye
getting
of the
some of
Beholder.
that URL link wrong.
Some of it is probably correct. I don't know.
Some of
I'm
it.
pretty sure there's a direct link on leadfeather.com.
Yes, go to
Leadfeatherproductions.com.
Yeah, that's a much shorter.
www.leadfeatherproductions.com.
Yeah, we're
You
just
forgot the
fucking-
HTTP part.
How many slashes after the colon? Hold on.
There's a slash after the colon. Yes.
Okay, moving on.
Moving
on.
on from the older.
And you can
This
see-
is the year. This is the year, Keith and Leadfeather team. It's our year to shine. So let's get those love stories out there.
Yeah, wait, hey, Keith, what's your Bandcamp? I want to add you on Bandcamp. I got to hear
Yeah,
more.
well, I would love it if everybody, please do check it out. Judas Booth is up on Bandcamp. That's Judas, like the guy that killed Jesus, and Booth, like the guy that killed Lincoln. It's actually a David Lynch little in-joke from when he did the TV edit of Dune that he hated.
Oh,
He
God.
refused to put his name on it. So it says directed by Judas Booth because he thought the TV edit was such a desecration of his work. So that's kind of my nickname. And then Doc C is my rap alter ego, such as like DOCC. Those are both on Bandcamp. So check them out. Get into it, It'll help the doldrums.
That's right. That's right. Guys, it's always a pleasure having you both on. I'm sorry that the time is so short tonight. We just got to get to a couple other folks here. But love having you guys. Before we go, I did want to go ahead and get a recommendation from both you guys. As you guys know, we typically have our guests recommend one film for our listeners to go ahead and check out as soon as possible per episode. So is there a movie, preferably one that maybe you got to see? It doesn't have to come out in 2020, but one that maybe you saw for the first time in the last year that you'd recommend for folks to check out while they're quarantined at home.
I'd like BJ to go first so I can see how highbrow mine has to be in comparison.
All right, good. Well, then lower your fucking brows, because all I'm gonna say is that I surprisingly have not seen enough actual movies of this year, and I had to go back and double check to be like, what movies of this year have I seen? Like we talked about, this year became like Kill or Be Killed the year. It became go mode. It became figure out how to survive a pandemic and like make it happen. So, so I pretty much failed in the movie category. But what I would say is that regardless of what either of us say, the undisputed real media champion was Tiger King for 2020. And that everyone, like, not just a recommendation, that is the spirit animal of 2020. But
I would agree.
My still recommendation, if I was going to pick one, and again, it isn't a movie, but kind of, sort of, it's like that weird level, would be The Queen's Gambit on Netflix. It was awesome.
Okay.
It was truly good.
Too.
I would say that
awesome.
I would say that COVID is pretty close to Carol Baskin. Yeah.
I mean, basically.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. You know, good recommendation.
They're synonymous.
Yeah,
With each other. Keith, how about you?
his name is Doc C.
Or Doc C, I'm sorry.
Doc C.
Judas
either
Booth.
way.
Can we speak to Keith? Is Keith there?
I
Is
answered
Judas
to
here?
all.
Oh,
I
okay.
answered all.
Judith, either way. But I saw a lot of great movies this year, and actually during the kind of the Christmas, the slowdown within the slowdown, I had some time to throw back a few flicks. And I'll just say some of my favorites. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was excellent. I love the remake of The Boys in the Band. Tough movie to remake, one of my favorite movies. I thought they did a great job.
Nice.
Let Them All Talk, the Meryl Streep vehicle. I thought great, very mysterious, intriguing film. And Bryan Cranston's new TV show, Your Honor, on
Yes,
Showtime.
dude.
Excellent. Very dark, very sad. But my favorite film of the year might have been a little quirky one called Kajillionaire. And it's a Miranda July movie. Richard Jenkins is the lead in it. And
Nice.
Interesting cast. And it's kind of about an offbeat family that exists through petty crime. It's kind of surreal, odd, philosophical. I would definitely check it out. It's a fun one.
All right,
Awesome.
Kajillionaire.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
I actually saw the title of that thing when I was digging through trying to be like, I was like, wait, what came out in 2020? I know I saw some movies.
I need
and
to
was
watch
like,
something.
I didn't see that. That was cool. No, and then I did see that was fucking awful. The Midnight Sky, the George Clooney world-ending movie.
Oh
Dog
yeah. That was
Oh my
another.
God.
Oh really? That was actually one that was on my list to check out. Okay.
I mean,
well, that sucks.
I'd watch it, but it was like I gotta say, it was literally like I called it from like 10 minutes in the movie. You're like, oh, this is it.
So you're like, I'd watch it, but you're also like, it was dog puke. So
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
but that's the same thing for The Room. So
It's true.
yeah,
It's
that's
a movie.
true.
It's
called
the best
it.
movie ever.
I
1
watched
minute
5
in.
Neil Breen
This
movies,
is the
so
fever
I guess
dream of an autistic child.
got no room to talk.
Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to have you guys on. Check out Keith one more time. Go ahead and plug your site and your newest stuff that's dropping.
Yes, sir. Please check out Keith Mackler. That's MACKLER.com for all your video and audio needs. Doc C and Judas Booth on Bandcamp. And do me a favor, check out Zugzwang, the new cartoon pilot. There's some meetings with Adult Swim. Some meetings. Check it out on YouTube. Thanks so much, guys. Really a pleasure.
Always,
you.
man. Always a pleasure having you. BJ, I don't know if you had anything that you want to plug to.
I don't have a plug. Call me. I work.
BJ.
I do everything. I make whatever needs to happen. And if I don't know how to do it, I know how to get the right people to make it happen.
Yeah,
So
baby.
I make your film needs happen.
Contact leadfeatherproductions.com. Tell us you need a badass DP. We'll send you BJ's information. Guys, thanks for joining us. Always happy to have you. Have a much better 2021 than we all did 2020. And we'll hopefully see you guys in season 2. Hey everybody, welcome back to I Don't Give a Flick, and we are grateful to be joined by our next two guests. We've got Carlton Caudle over here, and our good friend Amy. I don't remember. Are you going by Masterson right now, or
Masterson.
Leonard? Masterson. Okay, all right, just making sure. And then Ammie Masterson, both local and national actors in the film community, and we are very grateful to have them with us again. Guys, welcome back to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. How's it going? Happy New Year.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Thanks for yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for the two of you guys, we haven't, Carlton, we actually had you on a fair amount in December for a couple of our Christmas episodes, and those were a lot of fun. I love, some of my favorite episodes are just, doing the holiday themed ones during those months. We had some really good ones for October too. Can't really have any for November. We've noticed we tried to do some Thanksgiving ones and just couldn't find anything really.
Yeah, there's really only one Thanksgiving movie.
I mean,
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I'm sure there's
Charlie
others.
Brown.
Charlie Brown,
that's true.
That's true.
That's true. Good point. But yeah, and then Amy, we haven't had you back since part 2 of COVID in Hollywood. So what's been going on for you? What projects you've been doing for the last couple months? What do you got going on coming up here in the start of 2021?
Actually, I think we talked about Redstone as a film that's going to come out next year with Neil McDonough. But then I've been doing a lot of commercials and industrial work. So it's, it's great because there's not a whole lot going on. So I'm really happy. I'm grateful for it. And it gave me a chance to see the progression and the evolution of COVID on set, like all of the things they're doing to take precautions and to follow all of the guidelines because there are so many, and because it affects their budgets, they have to put that in there. So that's what I've been doing. I had a State Farm commercial, which was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And then, thank you. And then I did an instructional video for a pharmaceutical company. That was fun.
Okay.
That was actually the most strict as far as being on set.
I can see that.
It was awesome.
So coming from the actor's perspective, really quick, I just your own personal opinion. We had you remember Keith from that original episode you were on. We had him, and then our other friend BJ, who's a DP here in Texas. We were talking to them about how they had gone about with the whole COVID protocol from the crew side and then from the voice acting side. How's it been for you from the acting side? Has anything changed over the last 4 or 5 months, like with the protocols that they're doing, or is it just getting more strict? Have they added new procedures, or is it just getting tighter?
They've added a couple of things. Well, it's definitely getting tighter, where of course
Sure.
the testing is much closer to shooting, and the requirement of quarantining yourself has tightened up. On set, they have a person that is designated for, just the entire COVID program. So the guy I dealt with, I call him the regulator. He preferred COVIDnator, but I refused to use that, and so did everyone else on set. So but he walked around. He took our temperature every hour, it felt like, and then had to initial your name, and then he'd open the doors to the hair and makeup trailer for an extended period of time to make sure there was ventilation. He would check everyone on their masks, which was amazing. I loved it because I was, we all know about the Tom Cruise audio bite. I was like, it was very dramatic, but he was not wrong, because just seeing everything that's happening on set, we're able to work. Now there's less people involved, of course, but I noticed that it's much tighter, and they've changed to where, it's used to be you could wear the shield or you could wear the mask. You have to wear the mask and the shield, and it's a lot. Oh yeah, it's a lot of business. A lot of business going on.
Yeah, I can imagine. Carlton, what about you? What have you been up to here the last couple months, and then what do you got going on coming up here, like January through March through Q1?
Yeah, so what's cool right now, I'm on a thing called Bid Chronicles. They're short films being done over a short amount of time. They're stories with morals to them. My latest one was I played a racist cop, and it's hit 5 million plus views this week. So I'm excited about that. It's gone viral, and I just did one again today. And so that'll come out real soon. This is the one where I play about to get married. I'm playing a groom today, and I catch my wife cheating when I go back to the room to find out why she's taking so long to come down to the wedding ceremony. So it's pretty good. I did one a couple weeks ago, which just came out with Shauna Toft. We are in one that's I play the gay husband. We're married for many years, and winds up that I'm actually not into her. I'm into a guy. And so these are really interesting videos. I really enjoyed Bid Chronicles. They've given us a lot of work, actors, a lot of paid work. We're paid for these, and they're paid work while we're waiting for something bigger and better, I guess. But they've been hitting 5 million views, so I can't say bigger and better because they've actually done very well.
How are
and
they
then
marketing
as far
themselves with to get 5 million views? Where are they just streaming off their website?
They have a YouTube channel. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a YouTube channel, and that's what they're doing. It's Bid Chronicles YouTube channel, and they're just again trying to make some splash in the area of YouTube. We won an award as of Friday. I'm not sure when it will arrive and when we can post it, but YouTube sent an award out, and then we were invited. The main actors and the producer was invited to the YouTube conference this next year coming up. It's a big Comic-Con type of situation. They have a YouTube conference in LA, and we have an invite to come and sit a panel for Bid Chronicles. So we're excited about that. Like I said, it's kind of taken off. I was thinking it was going to be just something to do while something came along, and then I just got cast as of Friday. I cast in a new series called Washington's Armor. It's based on a book called Young Washington, George Washington, and it's based on his early story, when he was a warrior and when he learned how to be a commander and fighter that he later on used in the obviously famous war and then became president. So it's a young version of him, and that's kind of cool. And that's being filmed in Texas, actually, out in Weatherford, Texas, at Capernaum Studios, and it'll be starting up in this month sometime. So that's kind of cool. And then I just found out our premiere and our opening for 12 Mighty Orphans. That's the one you guys love so much because that's Robert Duvall and Martin Sheen.
That's right.
And Martin's scene is with, I have a small under 5 role in that. My scene is with Martin Sheen and Luke Wilson. So I'm excited about that. And we just found out we are going to have a premiere. And the trailer was actually shown at the Cotton Bowl with Oklahoma playing Florida Gators. They showed it on the 60-foot screen there in Jerry's World. So the trailer has been released, limited, but it was shown there at the stadium. So they're promoting that, and we don't have a date of release yet on that one. And lastly, I'll just say this: I got more things coming up, but I'll say this lastly. Ammie and I have one that just came out. We're excited about to announce. I had a cameo in it with the mayor of Austin, and Ammie had a role in that as one of the agents. Yeah, and that's a Shark Boy Lava Girl, number 2. Yeah, exactly. We could be heroes.
And Ammie, what part did you play in that?
Yeah.
I was a woman in black, number 2.
All right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's doing very well. It's got numbers up and it's doing good. So
it's doing really well. Last I saw it was number 3 on Netflix, and it was my first Robert Rodriguez film, so I was really happy to work with him. He's a lot of fun.
Nice. Did you guys get a chance to actually meet him at all? Or I don't know if the second unit director was doing your scene, or it was him, or.
Yeah, I have his number now. He had to text me her picture.
Awesome.
Yeah. and the same, and Ammie, that's kind of cool. Same with me. I took a picture with the mayor and had him send it over. Me, Robert, and the mayor in a picture together. I worked with him before. I was on From Dusk Till Dawn as a stand-in back in the day. I did work with Jake Busey and a couple other actors on there as a stand-in. So I'd met him before, but I'd not had a chance to get cast until Beth Sepko called me for this one. So it was fun. It was fun. Yeah.
Awesome,
he's the guy.
That's fantastic. I can't wait to check it out for you guys. So I know in a lot of larger big budget features like that, they do cut out a lot of scenes. Are both of your scenes in the film itself, or are they in the trailer instead, or were you guys both shown?
Ammie got both.
Nice. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Ammie's in the trailer as well, and mine's in the movie. Again with Steve Adler, the actual mayor of Austin,
right.
and then Ammie. Yeah, you can clearly see Ammie made it in the film. But like I said, I'm so proud of her. I sent her a message, even myself.
Yeah, thank you, Carlton. I appreciate that. Yeah,
that's so great.
It was a very nice message. It was so sweet. Like, thank you, Carlton.
I'm glad we're actually able to, especially during this day and age, I'm glad we're able to actually see Texas-based, or wherever it's, Louisiana-based, Oklahoma-based, whatever, actors actually being in these bigger budget features and stuff. And it's also, I guess Rodriguez, he's been doing, pretty much all of his features have actually been shot in the central Texas area for the most part over the last 2.5 decades. So that's
Texas. But this film in particular was hard for adults to get in. There weren't a lot of adult roles because it's a kids weekend hero, so it's like Up the Spy Kids and Shark Boy and Lava Girl. So main characters were, most of them were kids.
Right,
And,
right.
it was,
And his studio is here, so you guys didn't realize that Troublemaker Studios is here, so
Is
he's
here,
going to
he's
do
based
that.
here in Austin.
And
Yeah.
the only reason he moved the show from Dusk Till Dawn out to New Mexico was because of the vouchers. He wanted to shoot Battle Angel here, and he couldn't get vouchers for both. And the movie vouchers, the vouchers that Texas was offering at the time was better for the movie. So that's what that happened there. And I'll just say this on your COVID question. The second part of your question to me was about COVID changes. I think the biggest thing I've seen is with Walker. I'm on there as a stand-in right now, and we have to test the day before we go and pass a full COVID, nose swab, the up the nose thing. Every day you work. I know, and it's every day you work. So I can tell you from someone that's had that done way too many times. It's getting very, very serious and real. These sets, and of course, as Amy said, perfectly well, that we're wearing the mask, we're distancing, they're checking temperature at lunch and before and after, and it's getting very, very much more strict. But you can definitely see that's a prevalent thing on set, and with the COVID testing every single day that you work, it's pretty serious. Like I said, I did that one, and I did a show called Rock Me Here. I did a small appearance in that with Dale Watson, and same thing. COVID before, if you don't pass it, you're not working the next day, and
it's hard, especially with it would be, as much as I appreciate the thoroughness of doing those nasal swabs, I wish they could just do like the saliva swab, or like the one where you prick your finger and take the blood sample. I've had that done twice in the last 3 months, and then like 8 or 9 other times for other shows that I've had to go to. Like, it's all the nasal swab, and we're just like, son of a bitch, I got to go through this again.
I don't get used to it. They're like, okay.
It still makes me sleep. I'm partially blind. Yeah, I mean, they're poking the bottom of my eyeball. It feels like. It's so gross. So guys, I'm so happy that you guys are still able to get work, and that it's still flowing. And so congratulations. That's fantastic to hear. So kind of segueing into our next topic on this for you guys. The blockbusters, we've been seeing a fair amount. I know that we talked earlier in the episode with our last two guests about how a lot of the big blockbusters are being pushed back either to the end of this year. We saw it with Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman 84 was supposed to premiere this summer. It got pushed back to Christmas. Mm-hmm. The newest Dune movie, and Black Widow, they got pushed back to 2021. All that. Mm-hmm. With the indie film industry, though, I know both of you have done your fair share of indie films in the past. Mm-hmm. Are we seeing a decline in the indie film industry? How many indie films have you guys actually been on in the last 6 months? Because it's just so difficult with the loans that these directors have to take out. An indie budget is anywhere from $500,000 to maybe $30 million max normally. And you just, with the amount that it's like for a show that I'm working on right now, a reality show, it's like almost $500,000 for the insurance just to cover the COVID procedures for like a crew of 10 people for like 2.5 months. So what have you guys been able to do many indies over the last couple months, or were you seeing that decline coming in pretty hard?
Carlton, would you like to go first?
Oh, I'll go for sure. I do indies all the time, and I do them for friends. I do them for anyone that can will put a camera on me. So I do a fair share of indie films, and I think the biggest change is that those go to festivals. Most of them, they're not looking for distribution. They'd love to have it, but they're not gonna get them right away. I did one.
How many are you doing? How many? Let me rephrase really quick. How many have you done that are actually going to get somewhat even minor distribution? How many of those indie films have you been able to do?
Probably one out of the dozen I've done since we've come out of COVID.
Gotcha. That's so low. God, that's so scary. Oh man, jeez.
It's crazy. For me, it's since June I've done 3, and 2 of those will have distribution, and it's absolutely insane because they do have that consideration of the insurance and all the stuff they have to do I think it's 30% of the budget or something like that they have to make sure they have insurance and have the person on set for COVID and taking all the precautions. So it's harder. It's definitely harder for things to get made. And I booked the lead in one for this year coming up, but the consideration is, okay, we got to get this together. We got to make sure we have everything for COVID, for SAG, all the stuff that goes along with doing a film and getting the budget just for that. And then, just because there's it's so much liability because of COVID. It's crazy. One of my friends who's a great producer works for Marvel as their COVID officer. Like that's how crazy it is. Like you switch your job. Now you work for Marvel as a COVID officer, which is awesome. But I mean the consideration for indie films, I know that there's some being done. I don't know, but then there's a tier of what you consider the precautions for that. So I think when they just do the best they can and get their stuff made. It's crazy. It's changed everything. COVID literally made the world stop.
Due to the fact that and that's so spot on. I mean, you guys obviously you're witnessing that every day. I've been reading I've actually read a bunch of different articles over the last couple weeks stating that there are a lot of actors out there who currently that currently will not do romance scenes or rom-coms or romance films with actors that they're either not in a current relationship with or somebody they don't know very well, due to the fact that there are those false negatives all the time, and there's not a 100% certainty of knowing if that person has contracted the virus or not. So for the two of you guys, I don't know if you've been in any films that you had to make out with somebody or do a love scene or anything like that, but I don't know. 2 questions, and go to both you guys. Have you had to do that? And the second question being, would you be willing to do that or not if somebody brought that up to you? Amy, let's go back to you.
Okay. Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, it was couple months ago, and it was a rom-com. I didn't have to make out with anyone, but I did have to be in quite close eye-humping quarters. So it was in a funny way. Just I want to say that, but it was multiple tests, and it was a bubble for sure. It was one. So it was very controlled in that way. And yeah, I would. It would have to be, but it was like it was a very tight SAG set that. I mean, they had their COVID person on set. As soon as you walk in, you check in with them first. Take your temperature. They already have your test in hand. They've got all the stuff. So, because it's just, I don't know.
Amy, sorry to interrupt. You're kind of cutting in and out there.
Where did I cut out at? So I did do, a couple of months ago, I did do a rom-com where I had to be in really tight face-to-face quarters with someone who played my husband. And, and again, on set, this was a really tight SAG set. Everybody had to have multiple tests. And it was, they had their COVID officer on set. And, you get your temperature taken before and every hour and all that good stuff. But it was one of those things where I would only do it under those circumstances, under those guidelines. And, but I definitely would do it. It just would need to be that tight. And I have a friend who just shot a pilot, and she did the same thing. Like they had to go in quarantine and all the stuff and make sure that, as much as possible, because there's just no way. There's no way to know anymore, which makes it either you stop your life and your career, or you do everything you can to make sure you're as safe as possible. So I wouldn't take any like crazy chances, but
sure,
on a tight set, I absolutely would.
Okay. All right. Carlton, how about you?
Well, I've only had one that I've had to do a intimate scene with. It wound up being a kissing scene. And I guess, and she's gonna love hearing this on the radio or out there on the airway. But that was with Shauna. So an ex-girlfriend that we have obviously were together for almost the greater part of this year. And when we got cast, we just laughed and we both said yes, we would do it. And I felt very comfortable with it. And probably I would tell you for that very scene, I would not have wanted to do it with anybody else. And I have not had any other opportunity to be in a situation where that's any closer than maybe a hug. I think I did go a hug goodbye in one of the independents I did. And I want to correct something a minute ago. I said only one. Actually, three of the, I'm looking now at the list, good grief, but three of the films I did, indie films, actually have it. I think his Stretch of Texas, or My Stretch of Texas Ground is going out. It's going to go on one of the networks, one of those, the Netflix or Hulu picked that one up. And then Texas Kill City, and then Triple D's Revenge. So three of them, but still 3 out of 12. So it's still a low number on getting picked up. Want to make sure I say that so people don't go, people listening to this go, hey, you're in my film, dude. We told you we're
Come
going
on,
somewhere.
man.
So I know, man. Don't ruin this thing. And then I know I don't remember, Amy, were you part of the writing of Metal? Are you on that one?
Oh, I am. I'm not a part of the writing of Metal. I am on Metal, but it's not. Okay. It's not that one. It's the sequel, I think.
Okay, the sequel coming up. Right. So we did the first one, Metal, and I'm one of the co-stars on that one, and that went to a festival already. The trailer went out and it won best trailer in a festival. So again, these things are being seen and they are being out there. But when you give credit where credit's due, because those people work hard, and I know that Amy's, like I said, she's a part of that franchise now, and like I said, that's one of those things again where I don't misspeak for somebody and say, well, it's something you did, and just can't say that we're not doing anything with it. It's just different right now. Everything is It just feels different.
Let me ask you guys this. In regards to like the precautions that everybody's taking for like close intimate scenes for COVID, do you think you guys do or feel the same concern for other diseases like like hepatitis or like AIDS or anything like that if you're doing close scenes, or do you think COVID's kind of like the main thing that's kind of on your mind when you're doing that?
I only hear about COVID.
Always COVID. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm not, the other things probably, I guess they should come up in your mind, but they don't even cross my mind. It's the consideration, which is so crazy. The consideration now is definitely COVID, just because it's so easy, it's like, it's just so super easy to get it.
Right.
And you could do almost nothing.
Yeah.
And live your life in a bubble and walk out one time. And so I think that's why it's such a consideration.
And Gary, that's a great question, because it's going to change. You're welcome. It's going to, this in general, with the amount of media light that's been on COVID, it's going to change the industry forever. It's the people that work in it on so many levels, but especially with this, at some point, somebody is going to ask that question. They're going to be like, well, even things that might end up becoming, might become deadlier than COVID. There might be something that comes along in the future, or even things that are less deadly, but people that are at higher risk. Oh, what about the flu? What about, exactly like you had said, what about some of those, even something like the cold? Like, are we going to start testing for all of these other illnesses as well? Just because it's not something that we really thought of before, because it just hasn't been at the forefront. So it's such a game changer.
Yeah, I think people are going to get burned out of worrying about stuff like this. Like, as Carlton was saying, like getting the swizzle stick up the nose every day gets old real quick. So I think, people are going to kind of go back to the norm rather than sort of these standard deviations away from it.
I think once the vaccine is rolled out massively to everybody, then probably. But it'll be changed forever. I agree.
Like, I think that it's definitely just craft services is one of the reasons I do this damn job. Yeah. And that's changed.
Those snacks.
It's one of the reasons. The coffee truck, all that shit is one of the reasons I do this. And it's changed forever. Now, eventually, I'm sure it'll go back to something like what we've known before, but they just won't take the chance because there's so much money involved. Like
Right.
it's,
Right.
That's a good point.
It'll
I can
change
tell you
forever.
on Walker right now, just for example. So on the Crafty, on something that's large budget, right? This is a big budget situation. They have a Crafty trailer, and you literally walk up like you would a concession stand at a football
Yeah.
game. And again, we've got lots of people listening that love to live vicariously through us. Like, what's it like to be in our industry? What is it like to be on set? So I'll tell you, it's like a food trailer, like you see at like you see at one of the food trailer parks around town, and you walk up to it like a concession stand, and you literally order at the door what you want, and then they bring it to you. So they're still Crafty there. It's, they have the fresh donuts all the way to the peanuts in the packages and stuff, but you have to ask for it by name, and a guy with a mask and the gloves and the whole suit reaches over and grabs it and then hands it out the window to you very, through a, again, through very much a distancing when you're waiting and all that.
Right.
So there's still something there, but it's not near like it was.
It's
where
not
you just
the
run
same.
and grab and go and
You
have
could graze in between scenes. You could graze. You could go and you could grab something. You got to go back to your trailer. You take some stuff back to your like it's totally different now.
Right.
Absolutely.
I used to have freedom. I used to be able to run roughshod. Now I can't.
No, you can't. You can't go get the snacks you want to whenever you want to.
Oh
It's
my
nuts.
God.
It's pandemonium.
Crazy.
Chaos.
It is. It's chaos.
And I've been doing this for only 6 years. I'm new at this whole game, right? This is my 6th year of doing the acting thing, and I can tell you, I've watched some things come into the industry that made huge impact and changes. I've seen 2 of them now. The first one I saw was the Me Too movement. I lived through that. I came in when everything became do not tell jokes, do not kid around, do not be over the line. Be sure you're watching your P's and Q's, especially around the opposite sex. All that happened, right? It went really, really strong pendulum, and then it came back where it was like, okay, we can kind of settle into what is norm. It doesn't have to be extreme, but it can be norm, and we can laugh again, and we can have fun again. Because before it was just hush. When you're not working, just be quiet, And we saw the pendulum come back a little bit, and now I've seen the COVID pendulum where it changed the industry, it changed how we walk and how we talk every day. And I don't know, like you said a minute ago, will the pendulum come back? Not anytime soon. That's not going to just go away because of the vaccine coming out.
Yeah.
But
we're like this till the end of the year. Easy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we've got
it's still gonna
Broadway
go
still
another 12
closed down
months
until April. We're not doing anything on Broadway.
They're going to push that back.
at
I
all.
guarantee it's going to go to the end of the summer. It's going to have to.
Yeah.
It's going to have to.
Yeah.
So speaking of, just due to the fact that a lot of the indie films that are actually able to actually film that have, and I'm talking about these indie films that actually have a decent budget that could potentially find distribution. Those ones in particular. Also, I mean, COVID has also drastically reduced what types of movies and what types of scenes in movies we can actually have. The crowd scenes, high school football games, a prom, a parade or something like that. You can't throw 500 to 2,000 extras out into the streets or out into a field all next to each other. Just like, I mean, there's no way they'll be able to have the insurance to cover that. So what's the largest group size in a film you guys have been a part of in the last 4 or 5 months that you're allowed to talk about? Or they all been pretty small?
It's pretty small. Like the stuff that because they just kind of fashioned it that way. There were certain things, like it's supposed to be a hospital scene where you have nurses and doctors walking around, and you've got, not hospital, nursing home, and then you've got like the nurse, the residents, and then their families, and the doctors and nurses, and all of that jazz. And they shoot them individually. Like you'll have 1 or 2. They'll shoot them in a way where it looks like you're close, but you're not really close. One of my scenes, I had a guy in my office. I think I talked about this before, and he was actually set really far back. The way they shoot it is, they'll do a POV, and then they'll just cut it all together so it doesn't look like we're so far apart. They're making allowances for that. But
they're finding ways to splice it in post, and they're finding workarounds. That's good. Yeah, we see a lot of the Zoom calls happening now too, and a lot of the online meetings and stuff like that.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, don't say.
We'll fix
damn
it in
Gary,
post.
don't say that. Don't.
Yep.
You're jinxing us.
Always comes back to post.
It's our version of Good Luck or Macbeth for theater.
Yep.
That's right. Carlton, what about you? Have you been a part of any larger
Not
scenes?
really
more than a
large
couple?
scenes. I think the biggest one was probably back on Walker, a bar scene. We probably had 15, maybe 20.
That's not horrible.
Background artists.
Yeah.
And they're literally setting when they're not working and they're outside. They're sitting about 10 feet apart. I wouldn't say 6. It's more than 6, and they are lined far apart. And they are wearing masks at all times until the camera actually is rolling. I don't mean when they come in and sit on set. No, I mean there is mask up until they are literally rolling. And the moment the word cut is said, if they don't do it automatically, there will be someone there to remind them. Actually, there'll be several to remind them. There's PAs to remind them. There's also, obviously the COVID compliance officer. But they have so much different in protocol now. So many different ways they're handling that. But I think that's been the largest scene was a bar scene. And again, just so much distance between everybody and of course the talent, even more so, where they come in at the last minute, everybody's already seated, you're already where you're going to be. And I think Ammie said it, the same thing. The camera will cheat you closer. We will cheat you on the camera, but really you're drinking at the end of the bar, and it may look like you're, maybe 3 feet, 4 feet down, but you're not. So that's been the largest thing I've been a part of, is maybe 20 at one time, 20, and then 4 main actors, so 24 on the scene. But again, their distance, they're completely following the protocols. Again, it was referenced earlier, but Tom Cruise and this whole thing.
That's right.
It's like, no one disagrees with that does this. For a living.
Right, exactly. I'm like, if you want to, I saw somebody, or I heard someone on a set I was on recently complain about our regulator, and I was like, if this is what needs to happen for us to work, then let's get this show on the road. I'll do whatever needs to happen.
Damn straight, I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Out of work,
Right.
I was like, if this is bothering you, take your ass home so somebody who wants this job can come here and comply so we can get this work done. So it's like, it's very serious. I hope that people will start to take it more seriously. And I hope that, actors and crew and everyone involved in our industry understand how paramount it is. We do this right, and and Rick was sounding like Tom Cruise. I haven't funny yet, but I hope that everyone eats that and understands how serious it really is. Because what everybody did while we were shut down, sat at home and binged everything on Netflix. You're welcome. So we got to get back out there and make more stuff, right?
That's right. We're all in it together, and hopefully if we stick to this, it'll get over sooner rather than later. Guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Unfortunately, we do got to wrap this segment up. We got a couple other folks to get through. But before we go, I did want to go ahead and open up. As you guys recall, at the end of every episode, we have our guests recommend a movie for our viewers to maybe check out while they're quarantined at home or bored at work, whatever. We won't tell your boss. Preferably something maybe that came out in 2020, or something that it didn't have to come out in 2020, but maybe you saw it for the first time, or maybe you hadn't seen it in a decade or something and you rewatched it. So Carlton, we'll start with you. What recommendation would you give our listeners to today?
Well, I would recommend a movie that Ammie and I are both in. I would say go watch the Shark Boy Lava Girl. I enjoyed it. I actually it was good. Yeah, it's a cheap plug, but hey, I enjoyed it, and it's out right now. It's new, it's fresh, it has a good look to it, and it's an entertaining film for all ages. So I'm going to say, that's my recommendation for you.
Awesome. That's on my queue, man. It's in my queue. Ammie, how about you?
I have two, but I'll keep them short. One is called The Five Bloods. It's a Spike Lee joint, and the other one is called Five Bloods, and the other one is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Both are Chadwick Boseman's two of his last films, two of his greatest performances. R.I.P. Chadwick. And I really recommend them. It's a great film. Excellent. And of course, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is based off of August Wilson's famous play, also titled Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So those are mine.
Perfect. Love them. Want some more of them. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you guys make sure to check them out, check out their IMDb pages for Ammie Masterson and Carlton Caudle to check to see what's going on for them and when their films are coming out. Guys, thanks again so much for joining us, and we hope to have you on season 2 of I Don't Give a Flick here shortly. So thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
Happy New Year.
All right.
Happy New Year.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Leadfeather Productions' podcast of I Don't Give a Flick. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast so that you never miss an episode. Podcasts are available on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and everywhere podcasts are hosted. I Don't Give a Flick is hosted and produced by Jonny Blackburn, Gary Elmore, and Neil Riley. Executive producer Jonny Blackburn, technical director, editor, and audio mixer Gary Elmore. I Don't Give a Flick is a Leadfeather production, copyright Leadfeather Productions 2020.